Welcome back. So up to this point, we have seen the various types of operator that we use in the quantum mechanics. Okay, so there we have seen the position operator, linear momentum and angular momentum operator, and the total energy operator, which is also called as a Hamiltonian operator. Okay, so there we have seen the lots of operators. Now the one thing that we should have also understood is that the what do you mean by that eigenfunction and the eigenvalue. Okay, so previously also I have told you that, so eigenfunction is what? Eigenfunction is such a function which was operated by a certain operator. Okay, a cap gives the same function again and with certain value. Okay, so the function which is said to be the eigenfunction if it is satisfied the following condition, and the condition is what? So my operator a cap operating on a function say f of x, so the answer of that operation will be same function multiplied by certain constant. Okay, my answer will be same function multiplied by certain constant, so that constant is called as a eigenvalue of the given function. Okay, so above function f of x is called as eigenfunction, and the constant value obtained, that is small a, here it should be small a, not a capital A. So it is a small a which is called as a eigenvalue. Okay, now for example consider the example of our that say sine 3x. Okay, sine 3x, so the operator that is d2 upon dx square, that second order differential for the sine 3x will be, so first order derivative will be 3 cos 3x and second order derivative will be minus 9 into sine 3x. Okay, so out of this, okay, out of this we can see that sine 3x will be same as that of the previous function, that is given function. Okay, so sine 3x and sine 3x is same. Okay, f of x is same, so we have got the value of minus 9, which is nothing but the eigenvalue for the given function. Okay, which is operated by operator second order derivative. Now like we have given the certain example, so we will see that and obtain the whether we will first check whether the given function is eigenfunction or not, and once we have checked that we will get certain value, and we can say that that value is the eigenvalue of a given function. Okay, now question might be asked in such a way that given, show that the given following eigenfunctions of operators d2 upon dx square. So here we need to show that given functions are the eigenfunctions. Okay, so these two functions are eigenfunctions, so we need to prove that. Okay, so consider first function. So first function is again same as that of the like previous only, so it's the differential of the cos 5x. Okay, and differentiation of cos is minus sin x, so minus sin 5x into 5, and finally we'll get the answer of minus 25 into cos 5x. Okay, cos 5x. So out of this we can say that this function is again same f of x, and value which is minus 25 obtained is value is nothing but what? It is the eigenvalue. Okay, eigenvalue. Now consider the second example, that is 3 into e raised to minus 5x. Okay, 3 into e raised to minus 5x, so first order derivative will be minus 15 into e raised to minus 5x, and again second order derivative will be 15 into 5, that is 75 into e raised to minus 5x. Okay, now here we can simply like 75 is a constant and this function is e raised to minus 5x, so we can say that the eigenvalue might be 75, but the given function is what? The given functions were different. Okay, so it given function was the 3 into e raised to minus 5x, so we have to convert this 75 into 3 into e raised to minus 5x multiplied by some constant. Okay, so we have to convert that given function as it is, then only we can say that the obtained value is the eigenvalue of a given function. So eigenvalue for this function is what? 25 and not a 75. Okay, now consider the next example. So which of the following functions are either the eigenfunctions of a operator or not? Okay, so we need to check whether the given three functions, that exponential functions, are given. so whether they are the operator of the given functions or not. Okay, so that first consider this first function is the e raised to minus 4x. Okay, so derivative of e raised to minus 4x is what? Derivative of e raised to x is same, so e raised to minus 4x into derivative of minus 4x is minus 4. So here we can say that this function is the eigen function with eigenvalue of minus 4. Okay, minus 4. Now next consider second example. So second example, here we have given the e raised to minus 4x square, and what is the derivative of this? So derivative of e raised to x is again e raised to minus 4x square into derivative of this, okay, minus 4x square. So derivative of minus 4x square is what? Minus 4 into 2x. So we get directly answer as a minus 8x into e raised to, okay, minus 8x into e raised to minus 4x square. So given function was only the, okay, so given function was only e raised to minus 4x square, but in answer we are getting 8 into x, okay, x into e raised to minus 4x. So this extra x is obtained when we operated by a certain operator, that is differential operator. So we can say that the given function, that is e raised to minus 4x square, is not a eigen function of this operator. Okay, so here it is not a eigen function. Now consider this third example. So in third example we can say that the exponential function is minus, not plus, minus, it is plus only, e raised to I kx, and the differential of this is again e raised to I kx into differential of this is I into k. So the this function is differential function. Okay, not differential, this function is the eigen function with eigenvalue of I into k. Okay, this is the eigenvalue, and this I is imaginary number, but it is a number. Okay, and k is also a constant, okay, force constant. So we can say that this is a constant value, so we can say that it is a eigen value. Now consider again the next example. Here we get the e raised to minus ax square. So here square is there, so again we will get the constant 2 here. Okay, and 2 into x is, x will be there, so minus 2ax into e raised to minus ax square. This will be the answer. Okay, so here mistake is there, so consider that minus 2 a into x will come, okay, in answer. So you can also check that. So now next question is, explain the term like eigen functions and eigen value. Okay, like theoretical question might become, and sometime we need to check whether the which of these following functions are the eigen functions of a operator d2 upon dx square. Okay, which of these following functions are the eigen functions of a operator d2 upon dx square. Okay, so already we have seen this is the eigen function. Okay, and this e raised to minus 4x is also a eigen function. Okay, so given both of these functions are eigen functions of the operators. Okay, so next, the important part of the quantum mechanics is the postulates of quantum chemistry. Okay, the most important part is the postulates of the quantum chemistry. So here we will see that how that classical mechanics and quantum mechanics are correlated. So here we are having certain postulates. Okay, so what do you mean by postulates? So postulates are we can say that there are the rules which don't have like proofs. Okay, so these postulates are like imaginary things, we cannot prove that things. Okay, but in order to explain the phenomenon that we are observing, we are making certain assumptions. Okay, assumptions or postulates that same manner. Okay, so postulates are that certainly we can say that these are the assumptions, okay, which will be useful for explaining the various concept. Okay, so the first postulate, there are 5 postulates for the quantum mechanics again. So the first postulate for the quantum mechanics is that the state of a system which can be described by a wave function. Okay, we have seen also this. So for describing the state of a system, we will use the wave equations. Okay, and wave equations are generally what? The generally wave equations are the trigonometric functions or exponential functions. Okay, so wave functions may be of one coordinate, two coordinate, or three coordinates. Okay, so wave functions may be of three coordinate system, as well as it can also be contains time coordinate also. So we can say that it is a four-dimensional thing. Okay, so this wave function might be three-dimensional thing plus time coordinates. So overall we can say that it is a four coordinate system. So psi is a wave function of x, y, z and t. So simply we can say that wave function psi is the function of x, y, z and time interval. Okay, time t. So that is the first function. So for every system we are having the wave function. Okay, so without wave function we cannot define the system. So for existence of a system we must have certain wave function associated with that system, and we generally represent that wave function by the symbol of psi. Okay, now consider the next postulate. Now second postulate is that for the every observable quantity in the classical mechanics, okay, for the every observable quantity in a classical mechanics for a system, there is a quantum mechanical operator. There is a quantum mechanical operator. Okay, and previously we have seen that for classical mechanics, suppose my position is there, so position along x direction I will represent by the symbol x. Okay, symbol x. And for quantum mechanics we simply say that operator for the quantum mechanics will be again x cap. Okay, so for operator we will put cap here, and value of x cap is again comes out to be the x. Okay, same. So for position operator we simply multiply it by the x. Now next, linear momentum. How will you represent the linear momentum in classical mechanics? We'll represent it by the px, and the value of momentum is what? Mass into velocity. Okay, mass into velocity for the, okay, linear momentum. And the operator uh, which is useful in the quantum mechanics is this. Okay, h upon 2 pi I into dabba by dabba x. Okay, dabba by dabba x. So next point is the, how will you represent the kinetic energy? So kinetic energy is represented by minus h square upon 8 pi square m into grad square. And I have told you that this grad function is what? Grad function is the combination of all the three coordinates. Okay, so grad is nothing but what? Grad function is dabba by dabba x plus dabba by dabba y plus dabba by dabba z. Okay, and if I am having grad square, so my square will be there, whole thing, square square square. Okay, so we need to square each and every that individual component of x, y and z axis. So potential energy, so potential energies are different. Okay, so these potential energies are represented by v. Okay, because for gravitational force potential energy is what? Mgh. Then for simple harmonic oscillator the potential energy might be half kx square. Okay, so based upon various system the potential energy is specific for the specific system. So for potential energy the quantum mechanical operator will simply we write as a capital V. Okay, capital V. Now next is the total energy. So total energy is operator, what is that name? So total energy operator is the H cap, that is Hamiltonian operator. So how will you represent this Hamiltonian operator? So Hamiltonian operator will be the combination of kinetic energy and potential energy. Okay, so total energy of a system is kinetic energy plus potential energy. So kinetic energy is what? Minus h square upon 8 pi square m, here square should be there, 8 pi square m into grad square plus v. Okay, plus v, here it is v, that is potential energy. Okay, so this is the second postulate. So on second postulate we can say that, by using second postulate we can say that for the every observable in the classical mechanics we are going to have the some quantum mechanical operator. Okay, for every observable things. Okay, now next consider third function. So an operator a cap and wave functions are there, then the possible values of any physical quantity, that is energy, angular momentum or linear momentum, are given by the eigenvalue. Okay, so based upon that eigenvalue we can get the magnitude of that particular, okay, variable, that is either we want to find the energy or the momentum. Okay, so based upon this eigenvalue we will get the quantity of that energy or momentum, okay, for a given system. So eigen function of an operator which must be real, and it is uh, okay, the eigenvalues of these functions are real. Okay, already we have proved this. So given function of that eigen function which may be real or imaginary. Okay, so eigen functions may be real or may be imaginary, but the eigenvalues which must be real. Okay, so already we have seen this in proof of that operators. I have given one proof that eigenvalues of given eigen functions are real in nature. Okay, so we can say that the values, these values obtained are real in nature. Okay, so they will represent the observable physical properties of a system. So observable physical properties means what? The energy or some momentum. Okay, and then energy or the momentum that we can observe. Okay, and the observable things are not imaginary, so it has to be there and we should observe that things. Okay, so in order to observe that, so that postulate is also telling us same thing, that eigenvalues are real in nature. Okay, that is the third postulate. The next is, how will you find the average value of a variable? And for finding out the average value of a given function for the particular operator, okay, which is associated with that given function, is given by this a cap is equals to what? Integration of psi star a cap of psi d tau divided by psi star integration of psi star psi d tau. Okay, so for normalized function this quantity will comes out to be the unity. Okay, this quantity is unity, so we can say that the average value is nothing but what? A cap is equals to integration of psi into a cap of psi star d tau. Okay, so the wave function that represent the state of a system. Okay, this is the fifth postulate. So for the time dependent wave functions, okay, up to here we have seen that time independent equations. Okay, so suppose that my wave function is also associated with the time variable, and for that also we have to use certain different wave equation. So what is that wave equation? So the wave equation that represent the state of a system which also changes with the time. So according to the Schrödinger wave equation, we can say that the time component is incorporated by using this function. Okay, so IH upon 2 pi into dabba by dabba t of psi, but here psi is the function of what? X, y, z and time in time component t. Okay, is equals to h psi. Okay, so simply for time dependent we have to consider this. Okay, d by dt, so extra component will become as a d by dt. So d by dt is the time component, and suppose my time independent function is there, that time independent function will be simply h psi is equals to e psi. Okay, h psi is equals to e psi, so here psi is my eigen function, e is the eigen value. Okay, for my Hamiltonian function, means Hamiltonian operator. So Hamiltonian operator will gives you the energy of a given function. Okay, so that is the Schrödinger time dependent equation. And now next, okay, next thing is the Schrödinger time independent wave equation. Okay, so this is the most important derivation. Okay, among this all derivation we have seen up to so far. Okay, so far we have seen the certain proof for the operators, and we have tried to solve the examples, and we have seen the postulates of quantum chemistry. Okay, so this is the first proof that will, okay, So we have obtained the wave equations. Okay, we have obtained the wave equations that are either time dependent or time independent. Okay, so we will see that how that equations are obtained and from where we get that equations. Okay, so up to here we have directly taken that equations like this equation, or previously also I have told this few like wave equations are there, like psi is equals to a sine of n pi x upon a. So all that equations are came, how that came we'll see in this derivation part. Okay, so now consider this Schrodinger time independent equation. Okay, so now we are having the standard equation is there, standard equation of a time independent Schrodinger equation, that is d2 psi upon dx square, which is a time component, keeping that time constant, is equals to 1 upon c square into d2 psi upon dt square, keeping my position coordinate constant. Okay, position coordinate constant. Okay, now consider the wave which is propagating along x-axis only. Then the amplitude of a or the wave function of a given wave is given by psi is the function of what, x and t, that is x and time. So it is the function of position as well as time. The equation for this wave is given by, okay, so d2 psi upon dx square, keeping time constant, is equals to 1 upon c square, that is some constant value, into d2 psi upon dt square, keeping my x variable constant. Okay, and the solution of above such second order differential. Okay, so solution for this second order differential function, which is given by, okay, this function. Okay, so there are many variables or many solutions for the above equation. Okay, so like exponential functions can also be used, or trigonometric functions like we have used as the sine function. Along with this we can use cosine function also, that is cos function, or exponential functions can be also used in order to obtain these solutions. Okay, so there are lots of solution for this equation, that is second order differential equation, but we are using the sine function. Okay, for our convenience purpose only. Okay, so the wave function, that is solution, is what, a into sine of 2 pi into x by lambda minus nu into t. Okay, so the solution for the such equations is given by this. Okay, so when the wave is propagating from left to right, so wave is traveling in the opposite direction, that is from right to left, the amplitude will change. Okay, so how will you represent that amplitude? So the only sign will change for the given wave function. Okay, so psi 1 is the motion of a particle from left to right. Okay, that is along the positive direction of x-axis. So we can say that the psi 1 is what, a into, that is some constant is there, we need to obtain that constant later on. So constant into sine of 2 pi x by lambda minus nu t, and if the particle is traveling back, that is in the negative direction of x-axis, then we are say that the second wave function, which is a sine of 2 pi into x by lambda plus nu into t. Okay, so how will you get the overall amplitude of the given wave? So we need to add up these two equation in order to get the overall amplitude. So my overall amplitude will be addition of that two functions. Okay, so upon addition of that two function, okay, here a can be taken out, common out, taken as a common, and sine of angle a plus sine of angle b, which is nothing but sine, okay, cos sine 2 pi into cos 2 pi. Okay, so the addition of two that trigonometric functions, we have one formula is there. Okay, so we have used that formula directly here. So addition of sine plus sine is, okay, that is 2 sine into cos theta. Okay, so upon solving we get the wave equation as psi is equals to x and t, which is what, psi is the function of position and time. So we get the equation as a into sine of 2 pi x by lambda into cos of 2 pi nu into t. Okay, so in order to solve the equation 4, the method of separation of variable which is generally used. Okay, so from here onwards, if we use the various functions like for spherical rotor or the some hydrogen atom problem, we will use this famous method of variable separation methods. Okay, so what do you mean by that variable separation method? So here we can see that there are the two types of variables. Okay, so here one type of variable is there, and here time variable is there. Okay, here position variable is there, and here time variable is there. Okay, so here one function is there, and there are two variables within the one function, so we cannot directly solve that two variables in the one function. So in order to solving the two variables, we will be requiring at least two functions. Okay, at least two functions. So for that we will separate that variables based upon their equations. So we can say that psi, which is the function of what, x, that is position coordinate and time coordinate. So we say that psi is a function of x and t, so it can also be represented as a separate function of position and another separate function of a time. Okay, so this is my capital, okay, capital psi. So in introductory lecture I have said you that sometime we use the capital psi and sometime we use the small psi. So this capital psi will represent the function of position and time, and my small psi, okay, will represent the function of only position. Okay, so my this whole capital psi is equals to what, small psi into phi of t. Okay, so my whole function, which is the uh, function of position and time, is splitted up into two variable functions. Okay, two separate, one is the variable of position and second one is the variable of time. Okay, so this method of solving such equation is called as a separation of variables. Okay, separation of variables. So next is okay, so next point is the, so once we have got the separation of variables, we can simply solve each equation individually. So we say that for position coordinate, the wave equation is small psi is equals to what, 2a sine of 2 pi x by lambda, 2 pi x by lambda. Okay, and phi of t is equals to cos 2 pi nu t. Okay, so consider the equation number 5. Okay, this, so we have to differentiate that equation, okay, with respect to x. So upon differentiation we get the, okay, that phi t is a constant. Okay, so we get this as a differentiation. Now again we differentiate that equation with respect to x, we get the double derivative of the this function only, and this function which is with respect to time. Okay, that function is the function of time, so it will remain constant. Okay, so we obtain one such function. Okay, now consider the equation number 5 again, that is same function. So now this time we will differentiate with respect to t, so we will obtain the same type of function. Okay, psi x into double derivative of the our that another function dabba by dabba t. So if we solve that two functions separately, okay, so finally we get the psi x into, okay, minus 4 pi square nu square into cos of 2 pi nu t. Okay, so once we have got the value of this d2 psi upon dt square, which is psi x into minus 4 pi nu square into phi of t. Okay, so in order to obtain that d2 psi upon dx square value, okay, so we have substituted that whole equation into the equation number 1. Okay, so equation number 1 is what, d2 psi upon dx square is equals to 1 upon c square into, okay, d2 psi upon dt square. So this is the equation number 1. Okay, so here we have obtained the value of this and value of this, so we need to substitute that value in equation number 1. So we have substituted that values in equation 1. So equation 1 will turn out like d2 psi upon dx square into phi of t, which is equals to 1 upon c square into bracket psi of x into minus 4 pi square nu square into phi of t. So this phi t which is a common function get cancelled out, so we have been left with only this constant into psi x. Okay, this constant into psi x. Also we know that wave equation is called as also c by lambda of frequency of a light is nothing but c by lambda. So upon substituting that, so finally we get the equation like this. Okay, finally we get the equation as such. Okay, so d2 psi upon dx square, which is equals to minus 4 pi square upon lambda psi of x. Okay, but by using that de Broglie's hypothesis, that is lambda is equals to what, h upon p, and also this p is nothing but what, linear momentum, which is given by mass into velocity, so we substitute that value for lambda here. So based upon that value of lambda, we get the value for this as d2 psi upon dx square is equals to minus 4 pi square m square upon h square into v square divided into psi of x. Okay, psi of x. So here we see that this wave function is the second order plus 4 pi square m square v square upon h square into psi of x is equals to 0. So that is the wave equation that we have obtained. But we can say that the total energy of a system is what, combination of kinetic energy plus potential energy. Okay, the total energy is the combination of kinetic energy and potential energy. So kinetic energy is what, total energy minus potential energy, and we all know that kinetic energy is 1 by 2 mv square, so it is equals to E minus V. So again we have rearranged this equation by simply multiplying here by m and dividing by m. So m square v square upon 2m will be E minus V. So upon substituting the value for this m square v square, okay, so for m square v square we can substitute the value as this 2m into E minus V, 2m into E minus V. So finally we get the one famous equation, Schrodinger time independent equation. Okay, so this Schrodinger time independent equation is d2 psi upon dx square plus 8 pi square m upon h square into E minus V into psi of x, which is equals to 0. Okay, so this is the important equation for the uh, okay, this is the important equation for the that Schrodinger time independent equation. Okay, so this equation, which is also can be represented into the three dimension, if we consider the wave function as a three dimension, that is the function of x, y and z. Okay, so here time component will be not be there because this function is the time independent function. Okay, so this Schrodinger time independent equation for three dimensional will be d2 psi upon dx square. Okay, d2 psi upon dx square plus d2 psi upon dy square plus d2 psi upon dz square plus 8 pi square m into E minus V upon h square into psi of x, y and z, which is equals to 0. Okay, so remaining part we will see in the next lecture.